Welcome back, folks. Thanks for tuning in. So, I'd like to just get right into it. To those of you that are tuning in for the first time and might be unfamiliar with the channel, I have 22 going on 23 years of experience with the aviation industry here in the United States. Currently operating as a captain for one of our nation's leading legacy carriers as a Boeing 737 captain. I've operated several thousand flights as captain under Part 121 or airline scheduled operations, and I've been getting some inquiries from abroad regarding how the job market situation is going and if it's a good time to come on. I got one letter in particularly, a very thorough letter, quite lots of questions. So instead of writing a huge letter back or calling, this actually is, these are questions that are very valid and they are probably in the minds of many people, particularly foreign pilots. So I'd like to go ahead and use this letter a little bit of a as a structure on providing you some information and background. That being said, of course, I may just add to it as we go about some of the very important questions, which first and foremost is how's the market and the job situation here in America? Well, as you can imagine, aviation is a feast or famine. So we're either hiring as fast as we can and we can't get enough pilots, or we're furloughing people, laying people off. There's very little neutral ground. I've been in it long enough, and those that have been in it longer than I can definitely attest to the fact that the peaks and the troughs are very significant in this industry. Right now, we find ourselves on the way up, man. I mean, straight up, like a space shuttle takeoff, just going vertically. And between all the legacy carriers here in America, we are hiring hundreds of pilots per month. So right now is some of the very best times in all of aviation history. And this letter particularly relates to the EB-2 visa program and foreign pilots coming to the United States on the basis of their professional skills. What I can say to that is I find that to be very positive, in my opinion. Number one, we in America mitigate any potential pilot shortages with foreign talent. Due to the incredibly strong market position that we, the American carriers, hold within the aviation industry and its market, we can tap into the resource of highly experienced aviators from around the world. I have had first officers that were old 777 captains, 747 cargo operators from around the world. Truly a very vast, that I cannot overemphasize this, just how vast the overall scope of the operations and the background of experience of the pilots joining our ranks today is. Truly awesome. It enriches both the culture and also the overall knowledge base and experience that we have as a carrier. I think undeniably a true asset to the carriers themselves, and I think as we as a people as well. Immigration is the backbone of American history when done correctly, right? Individuals coming over with degrees, highly educated, good outlook as far as salary. That means taxes, income, revenue. I mean, it's a win-win for both sides. So with regards to that, I think it's a great time, great program, great idea. Now, as I said, and this is always true. It's not true just now. It ebbs and flows. There's nothing that says that you can come over here and the next day, it's just bad. Something happens halfway around the world, right? We've been there, and we just go into this complete reversal of dynamics. So just have that maturity, right? That very realistic outlook of potential occurrences, right? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of geopolitical instability, a lot of volatility, both macroeconomically here at home as well as abroad. I think overall, as people around the world, we've all experienced a tremendous step backwards in our both financial strength, you know, also fiscal independence from the average person around the world. I think everybody is kind of in a much tougher position than we were many years ago. And from that standpoint, the forecast isn't necessarily positive, but just do know that there's always a chance something may happen. However, right now, things are looking really good. Now, this individual that reached out to me has about 3,500 hours exclusively just on a Boeing 737, so probably a lot more time considering the rest of his overall experience. And then the question is that good enough to come over to mainline legacy, or is he going to have to do some regional time? The correct answer to that, the honest, frank answer, is that it truly is on a case-by-case basis. I've seen individuals who would otherwise not look like they have the background to join legacy carriers, but they made it in. They made it in. There's a lot of diversity in age. I think carriers are going a lot for that. Diversity in age, hiring from the full spectrum so as to mitigate a gigantic retirement wave in the future. That turns out to work out really well to the 23-year-old that started his career like me at the age of 16. And great for him. And then also gives the opportunity to guys that are a bit older, a bit more matured in their career to join the ranks as well, though they will not be with the legacy carriers or any airline for that matter beyond 65. So depending on how close you get on to 65, obviously, that will determine how long you have to go. I know that this may not be the answer that you'd like to hear, like, no, you're good, you're mainline. But the truth is, as I have said, some of my first officers have been, like I said, straight from international carriers over to the mainline, and others have had to do a little small stint over at the regional carriers. Now, in 2023 America, starting salaries for pilots at the legacy level is extremely high relative to historical levels. Okay, that's just, it's good relative to historical levels. Is it good for today's standards? I'd say yes. Yes, it is. It's still far above average. It's a little bit less than twice the national average for year one salary. So that's fantastic. And I think that does honor the sacrifice, both on a financial standpoint as well as on a time commitment standpoint, not including the 23-year-olds, that you have had to put into the industry in order to get to this level. Historically, I'd say probably we average 10 years of industry experience prior to day one at Delta. That's a pretty solid average. Even though today we have a lot of people, most people coming in with way less time than that, we still have a lot of people coming in with a lot of experience, and we're still averaging 3,000 to 5,000 hours prior to day one at legacy carriers. So that number is still holding up, and that's pretty good. A great reason why that is because, again, we can tap into that worldwide pool of expertise and highly experienced professionals. So that's pretty good. There's another question here regarding how would the cargo operators compare to the passenger carriers? Now, I'm not a cargo operator myself, though I have spoken with individuals that came from FedEx over to us, as well as We all know everybody in the industry. It's a small industry. So we speak, we talk about everybody, right? And so we do know, even though I don't work there, we do know their quality of life and some of the challenges that they experience. Namely, as you would imagine, I'm sure you know, the most technically difficult part of that process is the fact that you're operating backside of the clock from the get-go. And you will have, 5 to 10 years of strict backside of the clock operations as a cargo operator. That is very likely. If you stay junior your whole life because you upgraded early, that time may be longer. If you become a senior first officer, you don't want to upgrade and you just want to hang out in the right seat enjoying your good life, that time may be shorter. And red-eye operations, or backside of the clock, graveyard shifts, whichever name you'd like to put to it, they are unique in that it's not natural. That's just obvious. Some guys can really handle it. Some guys can really not handle it. If you can't handle it well and you signed up to one of those carriers, you're a pretty miserable individual. And you'll probably want to get out. Now, do keep in mind, though, with the passenger carrying world, the peak historically has always been wide-body international flying. What are you doing then? Well, you're doing backside of the clock operations. Now, wide-body international flying is very different. You're sharing the workload, you're taking naps, especially if it's a long flight, 12, 15, 16, 17 hours. You're taking lots of breaks. So it's not like you're working the whole time, but you're still shifting your circadian rhythm like crazy. And you're experiencing that additional stress on the body. That's hands down, no questions. You can sleep for, 10 hours in an airplane. You're going to wake up feeling pretty bad. That's without working. That's actually sleeping and eating happily in first class. So that physical component of stress is there and a factor independent of how good you get at taking naps. So just keep these things in mind. They are points of that are valid. There's also, the age-old question about college degrees, right? 4-year degree. Do you need it? Well, the answer is, if everybody has it, do you need it? And they may say no, but if everybody has it, do you need it? Yeah, obviously. I think, make no mistake, particularly at this income, responsibility, operational impact, the 4-year degree is a small price to pay for the long run, very small, and it does weed out individuals that don't want to do the 4-year degree, right? Perhaps for whatever reason. There's, life is complicated. There are lots of reasons. And the airlines don't have to deal with it, right? So put yourself in the position of the carrier that's hiring. You have 1,000 applicants. 50 don't have degrees. What are you gonna do? It's not nice, but it's the truth. What else do we have here? Yes, so a lot of people, it depends, it depends on when you're getting hired. So a lot of people would like to know which airline is better. Is it Delta? Is it American? Is it United? The legacy stuff, right? You got Southwest, very different operating model. You got Alaska, very different operating model. So not exactly fair comparison all the way through, but those kind of tend to be brought into the same equation as well. And the answer to that is, as one senior pilot once said, you'll know if you made the right decision when you retire. So when you look back, you're like, yeah, that was good, or no, that was not good. But that doesn't help you. So um, a lot of people do the shotgun approach, right? You just load that shell in there. It's just pebbles, and you shoot. You apply to all, see who hires you. That's one way to do it. Another is very commonly looking at the bases, right? Which bases are bases that you'd actually would like to live in, and that carrier operates out of there. Not commuting from another city to your base of operations is a monster quality of life improvement. I know you know this, but it cannot be overstated. It's not possible, all right? Depending on what you're doing, it could be the difference 4 to 6 days off extra if you live in base versus going to a base where the rotations are not commutable and you got to commute 4 to 6 days per month. You make that's it's up to you. You may think that's not a big deal. I think most people would agree that that's a pretty darn big deal, right? So that's a huge thing to keep in mind. Basis, other income, and total compensation package. Total compensation package is not a question. Cargo carriers win, hands down, no questions asked, particularly when you consider health benefits. The passenger carrying sector has horrendous health benefits. It's a degree of crap. It's either really, really bad, disgusting, or downright straight up furlough, bankruptcy era level of coverage, which is non-existent. So at this level, you're basically looking at catastrophic, right? You got insurance, kind of. If you have something major, yeah, the insurance is really going to cover. If you don't have anything major, you're going to be out of pocket like the whole year. So all of these things do factor in, right? And then you got to judge what is more important. Is it the base, total compensation package, lifestyle of the pilot? What is it that you're trying to do? So take me right now. I operate narrow body aircraft as a captain on the Boeing 737. I could be doing some international wide body left seat captain operations, even out of Atlanta, but particularly if I was to go to New York, like every carrier, New York is the most junior base, and then I could really be doing some stuff out there, but it take me far from home, and Birmingham is right there. You don't get that tired flying over to Birmingham, so it's working out pretty good. Family life, all that is really important to me, and having control of my schedule, it's really important. If you're single, young, schedule control is not much of a factor. I mean, go get that wide body flying, go around the world. That sounds like a good time, That sounds like really great experience, tremendous resume building experience, and getting those hours, right? So we're all in different stages of life, and it's really difficult to address unless I know the specific circumstances of you. And then again, the ball is always on your side of the court. It's whatever you want to prioritize as most important. Now, there's another question here, final question regarding health issues. To those of you that are international, any kind of health questions you may ask, the internet is a fantastic resource. Just go ahead, type FAA medical, type the problem that you have medically, and you'll get an answer pretty quick if that is absolutely not going to work for you, if it works with certain caveats. That those resources are out there readily available, and you'll find your answer rather quickly. Another great resource is Airline Pilot Central. Let me double check that, make sure. Yeah. Airline Pilot Central. I had not checked that in a long time. So I noticed that the information for some of the carriers there is actually pretty old, not current. Certain pay rates are not current. So you just got to be a little bit careful with that. Perhaps go into specific forums to get a little bit more current information. But there we go. Those are some resources. Those are some ideas. Those are some things to think about. In summary, right now is a great time. I'll take that back. Right now is the very best time. Very best time. Right now, the last best time was 2014. Right at the beginning of all of the boom, 2014, 15, 16. And then obviously we've had a lot happen since then. And now we're back on the upswing of things. And right now, it's a great time. You want to come over here as a highly skilled aviator, I think it's a great time to do it. Okay, quick note about this. I got Microsoft Flight Simulator with the PMDG 737 hooked up with all this other extra software. I mean, the complexity of this. I feel like I got to go through INDOC and some kind of like 4-week program just to run this. Not including the aviation, not including just technical stuff. Super rich. There are guys creating some pretty awesome content with this. I'd like to do that. I have the machine. I acquired it. You can do a lot of training. You can do a lot of training. You can learn your type rating. You can learn to fly the airplane. Due to the level of fidelity of the modeling, you can really learn to fly the airplane. So hopefully I'll be able to create some content for you. I want to do at least a short flight, get that up on the channel, see where it goes. That's something that will mature into something cool or just die off. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing. All right, I digress. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Fly safe. Till next time.